All right, Mopar people, welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe. I promised y'all a video about the AC install on our 79 Dodge D150 Little Red Express truck. So this is a classic auto air kit. They don't offer a bolt-in kit, a direct bolt-in kit, so you have to buy one of the universal kits. I believe this is the street rod kit. I'll put up an exact page of everything that was purchased in the kit. And also there's a couple really nice clip-on pieces that go to your defroster vents. I use those, so I had to order those separately, but they were in the same order from the same company, so that made life easy. Really nice guys to work with. There is a Mopar guy hiding in there somewhere, or a couple of them actually. I talked to some really good guys there, and they were helpful on the phone. A few things before I get started. I could have sped this process up by like using their controller that would have probably 3 little knobs in it for to select your mode, your heat and cool, and your fan speed. But instead of that, the owner, we discussed that I could pull this out, the actual factory controller, and then convert it to where it would work with the system. So you'll see that in the video. That was a major headache throughout the whole ordeal. The rest of it's pretty smooth. I would definitely say most people could do this at home. I did make my plate for that covers up my heater where the old heater box was out of very thick steel, maybe 7 gauge or something. And I wanted it to be rigid and also kind of be in line with the firewall. I'll show you that in a second. I have it in previous episodes also of this. I have a full playlist on Little Red Express if you haven't seen it yet. And this thing's almost ready to go home. But I wanted to get this video out to you because there's people that want to know. So I showed my belts in this. I show how the compressor's mounted. I show how my HVAC box is mounted inside, kind of how I routed my vents and how I converted those to work with the factory vents. And I guess that's it. I had it charged at a garage in town. So otherwise, it was smooth sailing. So hopefully y'all like this, and I'll answer any questions underneath if you have any while it's still fresh on my mind. I just dropped our new Classic Auto Air condenser in, and it's not dented up. It looks perfect, and it really nicely fits the hole. I'm gonna raise it up some before actually mounting it, but I wanted to check. So this is for my people doing their ACs at home, and you're working on a Dodge truck like this with a small block. Your hoses will probably be similar to mine. I'm not saying go copy this or tell them to cut this exact length hose for you, but these measurements are from that edge to that edge, not the entire length including the fitting. So if we start with A, that's my longest hose, 57.5. It'll be here. So one goes to the compressor. See, I got a little A on it. One goes to the compressor, the other goes to our box inside the truck. Let's put it in now. I already know it's gonna be a pain to get it through that grommet because this is the fattest fitting that we have here. And it's got a 45 on that end, if you can see it. So I went ahead and popped out, well, both these grommets real quick. This has to go through the bottom hole. It curves up, and the reason I put the 45 instead of a 90, if it was a 90, it would have to go straight through that way. And I need to be able to get my 2 heater hoses through these holes. So I'm starting with the big. My next will be that smaller hose there. But we're on A right now. And be sure you have this oriented to where it's pointing straight in the box. It's not kind of kinked up or crooked. And before you get your hoses crimped, it's a good idea. They have to be oriented. So I marked here and marked the hose itself. If they're not oriented correctly, like crimp those for you, then the twist may be wrong. So this is a double end. The other one out there is that 90 that goes to the compressor. So I'll get this tightened. We'll do our other top hose in just a second, but here's where A goes in first. Out of the firewall, right around to the large opening on your compressor. B is 19 inches. From right there to right there. Yours will be similar to that. You may not want to go with my lengths unless you have everything exactly mounted like it is here. But we're going from the top of our condenser, see how that one's oriented, to the other side of our compressor. Here's C, our next longest. This one, the straight end goes into the truck, and my little curve goes to the dryer itself. Last hose is D, 11 1/4 from there to there. This will connect our dryer to our condenser. Should go in just like this. If you mount everything kind of like I did, you shouldn't have an issue. Be sure you have your condenser high enough that that doesn't touch. Right now I've got probably 1/16 of an inch. I may give it a little bit of upswing like this before I tighten that fitting, just to be sure. And if I really want to be safe, I'll put myself a piece of rubber there. You don't want that line rubbing its entire life. That's no bueno. So that's our little line set up. I went ahead and put my heater hoses in. The bottom hose that comes out of the water pump, I believe, it has to have your valve put into it. So you can ignore that part because they don't know which way you have your hoses coming from inside, since this is a universal kit. So I'm coming out of there into my valve, and I'll get my hoses prettied up. I have our little box hooked up here. And what I intend to do is reuse the factory controller. And what matters most is I needed to know which way was cool and which way was warm. And I needed to know what all these meant, because it may not mean defrost anymore or AC, etc., etc. So another thing, our selector switch right here, I figured out which way is off and which way is wide open. So I think this is off 1, 2, 3 speeds, where the factory just had, well, low, medium, high, whatever. But you can turn it off from there. So since I know that way is off, I'll mount it like this from behind there. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, all I have to do is make myself a little bracket. It'll kind of be like an ugly little L that'll go that way, and then it'll curve back this way, that I can put my 2 screws in here, or I might actually just rivet it there and then screw on the other side. I'll see how it goes. But getting that centered is nice. And then we'll know when we go medium, or he'll know high is that direction and off is that direction. So that part's easy. Figuring out this section in our mode switch. So also I need to wire that. My key's off right now. So I need to wire that so that it doesn't have power all the time. So here's temp control, and here is mode control. Now I figured out, there we are. I figured out my modes. I got a test light out there plugged into my white wire that goes into that pressure switch. Sorry, the windshield's very dirty. So key's got to be on. Key is on. I'll turn my fan on. Low, doesn't matter. So you can see out, hopefully you can see out there. My test light is on right now. And the way I figured out hot and cold for here, see my H and my C. If I slide that to hot, boom, my switch went off. You heard that relay click? So if I go back to cold, it lets your AC be on. So right now, this is max AC. And I did find online, finally, the difference in these. So max AC, your AC's on. If we come back this way, there's regular AC. Then you're going to start hearing a change to either vent or heat. And then eventually, you go all the way to here. Your defrost on. So if I go halfway, and I gotta get off this enough, there we go, here's the click. So you would have your heat on right now, And if you shove it all the way that way, it's not going to turn the air conditioner on for you. You got to give it a little bit of this. Hear that click? So if you wanted it hot, it doesn't matter what you tell the car to do. So say I'm going cold, after a certain point, your air conditioner will stay on for defrost, obviously. But if I come through here and I'm changing from vent to defrost or to floor, that's mostly what the mode controller does. So if I can turn this up real quick, we should be able to hear it. Change from the blowout here to a blowout somewhere else. So I did all that to say I can now figure out which one of my holes and hoses for the heater box itself, where to route those to. And then I can mount these two to my factory selector here. So if we know defrost is all the way one way, I may want to try to run my cable from that direction, because it does match up with defrost on one side, AC on the other. I'll just need to mount this dude this way somehow. Not a big deal, just takes a little ingenuity. Here's how this turned out. I still got to put my little chrome piece on the fan controller. That is off, which on here it's labeled low. 3 speeds. We go down, there's our mode selector, as it says on top there, mode control. It slides nice and butter smooth. You can hear it click from the factory detent deal here, but that's all the way over. So that's actually defrost, but that's as far over as this length will go here. Here's our cool and our warm. It's on cold now. You slide, and that's as far as we can go for cool. So there's our temp, mode controller. Everything's happy. That little center piece there was broken out of this when the truck showed up. So nothing I can do about that. I got Loctite on my little bolts and on my lock nut there. I think this should be good to go. So here's my little sliding mechanisms for cool to warm and all that. I know I may be showing that already in the video, but one of the problems was the way I had it oriented. This piece was facing towards me and the dash does this. So you get a side profile here. That was hitting the dash, so I had to turn it 90 degrees. And in order to do that, I had to make myself another little bracket and another little bracket and another little bracket. So I think I'm finally there to the point of I need to align that pin into that hole. I'm trying to be creative about this and make it where it's pretty stout. Here is the deal I tried before. That's just a big fitting that would plug on a spade connector. And it did work, but it started to rock a little bit, and my bolt was too long where it was hitting the dash, where the dash wraps down, kind of in the way. So now I'm going to add onto this piece to where it'll go through our eyelet. Let's see if I can make it pretty. Life is good, minus I still have to hook up these vents and the power wire somewhere. So instead of this being low, medium, high, it's actually off, and then it goes low, medium, high. So there's that. Cool and warm are normal. So if you're all the way cool, that is like max AC. So or to the left, it is now max AC. So if you hear me turn the key on, got a blinker on somewhere. Come on, buzzer. There we go. And when this kicks on, you'll hear the compressor out there engage. Hear that? Okay. So we're going to go, it's on max AC now. As you go this way, you start getting to like defrost and whatever else. I think defrost is all the way that way. And the compressor will stay on until you get off a certain point. As we slide over, there it unclicked. And then when it goes back, it re-engages. There we go. So if you had your defrost on, you would want your air conditioner on, so it would be blowing, pulling the moisture out of the air when it blows on your windshield. I believe that's how it's supposed to be. Just like in a brand new car. Stock vents and stuff, I think I'm going to reuse our tubes because they're pretty nice. They're just very dirty, so I need to go over there and hand wash those. I probably should have had Jay do that earlier in the week. That is the passenger side vent, so I need to soak it in water, wash it out, give it some brushes. I would put it in my sonic cleaner, but it is very, very dirty from doing brake parts and other funky stuff. So if it was replaced, I could drop these in and get them washed up. I don't think I have time to do that right now. I can pull that one apart and get that little plenum apart, but I need to plumb 2 of my new hoses into this square. I don't think that's going to be a major challenge if I just take myself a flat piece of stuff and put on there and put me a couple holes in it. I got a couple of these adapters from the company. There we go. See, they come with the little push clips. That little adapter got drafted right there. I just pushed it on and it snapped perfectly into place. So all I got to do is put that hose on and put a very tight zip tie around it, and that dude will be hooked. So I will use those little adapters. I don't remember what size they were. I think I have it somewhere in the video, but man, they're plenum, right, for the center 2 vents. Don't let anybody ever judge you for not throwing stuff away, because you're going to need it someday. This is the top to a grip right, basically T25 screws that I got from Home Depot. And I think the box is empty. I couldn't find it, but I stumbled over that. So it's getting cut to be our block off plate here for our plenum. That's step 1. This is the most perfect item in the world for what I'm doing. Sadly, I only have 1 of them and I need 2. So I'm not going to use this. I have a large amount of, I think that's 2-inch pipe. So we're going to drill ourselves a couple 2-inch holes here with a hole saw before I cut this out, since it's already there. And then I have a coupler here I'm going to split. I can split my coupler and glue it on from the other side to keep the pipe from falling in or pulling out. You'll see in just a second. So I killed I guess you'd call that a street elbow or whatever it is. I'm not a plumber, but anyway, it was leftover plumbing stuff. So I chopped it, and you'll notice, see where that neck's down right there? That will drop exactly in. And where it stops, I will put myself 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 self-tapping screws through into the plastic like that. And there's my hose itself. It's very, very much secure in there, but even with the screws going through, it's going to be great. So I'm really excited about that. The white piece will be covered, and I didn't have to modify or cut up his original pipe because we'll have that lovely seal right there. Here's all the hoses hooked up. Those 2, I had to run one up and over to go to the center 2. And that one is easy to right there, and the far one is all the way across. Now we're going for a ride. So on our AC job, these vents are so worn out that sometimes they'll even just blow closed, like if you hit a bump. So we may want to find something different besides clothespins, but for now, they work fine. You can do that any way you wish, but I would hate to glue them in place, and then that way you wouldn't have any freedom later. There could be a way, if we look, if we could pop one open and put a little tiny O-ring underneath there, it would take out that slack. And then as long as they stayed together as a group, it would keep them from moving apart. But you need to pop them out carefully, do all that stuff. If I get into that and break one now, it's going to delay our progress. So I'm going to leave that alone. Another important aspect of having an air conditioner is your condensate line. See, it's clear right there? And it has just a little bit of kink to it, but it's open. So be sure and connect that before you drive your truck down the road. Not that I did that and have to get some stain remover here and get that out, but luckily this carpet was nice. This is our current solution for the fresh air vent that we're not using anymore, like a factory style fiberglass insulation with a backing. And we just use some HVAC tape to cover the hole and go past it. This is spray glued in place. We could put a piece of black carpet here. It might look nice. I may study and see if I've got some of that today. Then tuck the edge behind our rubber a little bit. Also for our AC install. So I had someone email me about what belt number for this, and I'll go ahead and give you both belt numbers I'm using here. The belt, that's a 7445 Gates. And my brother here, looks to be a 15555. I'm not sure if that's Master Pro or Gates. That's what they had available that day. So there's our two new belts and the way they route. If you were interested in that, I know it's just a minor detail, but the details matter sometimes. Otherwise, I'm pretty pleased with the install. We did go ahead and wire tie these two together. It is what it is. I have the wires ran for this on the underside of that. Try to hide those a little. And I probably could have, before hooking that up, went on top of here so it rested on that. It's fine. I think it's a pretty clean install. Everything seems nice. Just cruising right down the road. Had to go to O'Reilly's and pick up a Hemi intake. Excuse me, a Hemi exhaust manifold kit because mine was cracked. And I needed to drive this anyway. But this will probably complete our AC video. We're riding in nice, cool. I don't know if you can feel that or not, but I don't even have it on high. Here's high if you'd like to hear high. Turn that back down.